I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all, I've got a special show for you today. Today, my guest is Kendra Galloway. Let's go ahead and give her a round of applause. Kendra, so glad that you came and to spend some time with us. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. Tired, but hey,
Tired?
pressing on.
So we're going to get into our conversation here in just a second, but we met a little bit earlier up at the Bremerton High School because there's a big event coming up this Friday and Saturday that we're going to tell a lot of folks about, but everybody should know about it, right? The
Right.
Race and Equity Summit 2022. So
Yep.
we're going to get into that in a minute, but we want to know a little bit about who are you. So Kendra, tell us a little bit about yourself. Were you born here? And tell us a little bit of your story.
I was not born here. I was actually born in San Diego, California. I'm a product of the Navy life. My dad was in the Navy. That's how we actually got up here. But I grew up here. I think we moved up here when I was like 2 years old. So Bremerton is my home, even though I was born in California. But yeah, grew up in Bremerton. Um, Still here in Bremerton. Well, I actually reside in Port Orchard, but still around. Graduated
Why
from
why'd you stay? A lot of
uh,
people call it Kidnap County and they want to get out of here.
I did leave, but
But
came
you
back.
came back. How'd you come back? Why'd you come back?
Life teaches us some good lessons. But no, I when I graduated high school, I actually went to Greensboro, North Carolina. I got accepted to Bennett College for Women, um, popular HBCU,
Nice.
and did my freshman year there. Got caught up, thought I was in love, and I came back. So, but glad I came back because I wouldn't have met my husband and have my family that I have now. But that's why I came back. But I did attempt to leave Bremerton, Washington, but
Gotcha.
didn't quite happen. But yeah, so I went off to college and came back. I finished my education though and ended up uh, changing my major from elementary education to human services. So I graduated from
Okay.
Washington University, and graduated college with my bachelor's degree in human services. And straight from, well, actually, it was probably a year later, but I graduated from college and then actually, no, it was that year. I got a job at the Washington Youth Academy, which is like a hidden gem in Bremerton. Not too many people know about it because it's like a school, a specialized school, but it's a school for at risk teens
Oh wow.
or teens who are at risk of not graduating high school. And so I got a job there about 4 months after graduating from college and spent about 10, almost 10 years there at the academy. There I did case management where I had a caseload of students that I assisted while they were in residence and then tracked them for a year and a half after. And so,
Let me ask you, human services, that's a hard field to go into. It's very taxing, and exhausting. What made you go into human services?
I've always been um, a servant, um, or had to have a servant's heart. I want to help where I can and when I can. Um, and so that's kind of why I got into that field because I'm a helper at heart. I just kind of wanted to um, help someone else get through whatever obstacle that they have or have at that time. And so I was still kind of caught up in the middle of education or the social services aspect. So me finding that job at the academy kind of gave me a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So that's why I stayed so long, because I was able to teach, do some teaching. So I was teaching life skill classes to these teenagers, 16 to 18-year olds, teaching them anywhere from um, job skills, life coping skills, mentorship, those types of things. So where I was teaching classes there while also assisting students after they left our residence, assisting them back out in the real world, having them get readjusted and transitioning back into their high schools and back to their homes and helping them find jobs and so forth. Um,
I
so I
think
did that
you're in touch
for
with
about
a lot of the
10 years.
kids.
Now
Yeah.
I have a handful of kids that still hit me up, or I have on my Facebook, and I'm seeing that they're, have families and are married and doing well. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, sometimes I run into them in the grocery store. Sometimes I try to be like, do I want to say hi? Because then they might be like, oh, I don't want to. Oh, there goes Miss Ponton, my maiden name. But but yeah, I still try to keep in touch with a few of them. Yeah,
Nice. So you
yeah.
did that for about 10 years and then what'd you do after that?
Um, so I didn't want to leave, but I had to leave. Um, when you just have that instinct or that desire um, to do something different. Um, I was in a place of feeling that for about two years, and maybe 2 or 3 years, but I just really wanted something different. And um, at the time, also, me and my husband were trying to start a family, and so that job that I was at was really taxing and very stressful, and um, it took a lot of time with my husband and I working different shifts. It took a lot of time away, family time away. So during that time, we were trying to start a family, and so um, I just did a lot of praying, and God just put us in a position to where I could leave my job, have my backup, and which is when I started my business, and um, how things work out. As soon as I quit my job, I got pregnant. So I really needed to release that stress so God could give us, what we were praying for. So
Right.
that's kind of how I officially started my business, I would say. But I started, probably maybe 7 years ago, or even longer, working alongside my mother when she started a business called Royal Celebrations, and that's where she was decorating doing wedding coordination.
Oh, nice.
Um, and so I was always helping her with that. And then that's kind of how my business started out, but I kind of moved away from that a little bit as the years went on. But since then, since starting my business, we've added a few more businesses to that.
What? Okay.
So
Tell us, tell us.
yeah, so capital management is my business.
Okay.
Um, and it started out as doing event coordination and event decorating. So I would coordinate and manage conferences, parties, weddings, and things like that. And then I also, that's how it started. And then about 4 or 5 months later, I was like, well, all these years of case management and being a team leader and coordinating and facilitating and doing all that, I can take all my skills and just be what I call now an administrative assistant. And so what I do is I kind of like a on call, or you know as needed administrative assistant for other small businesses around Kitsap County, and in Pierce County.
Okay.
So businesses would hire me either by the hour or contract me out for months at a time to handle their payroll, to handle HR documents, to draw up contracts, um, termination letters, business company manuals, workplace manuals.
Wow.
Um, I answer calls, emails, all that kind of stuff. So anything that a normal office assistant or administrative assistant would do for a business or organization, I do that for businesses around here as needed. So some businesses will call me and say, "Hey, I need this project done. Do you have 10 hours you can do?" Yep, and then I do it. And then some businesses I have on contract where I'm year round, and I do like 6 hours a week here and there. So um,
And that's what you're currently doing?
I'm still doing that.
That sounds like a lifesaver right there. I think I need like 4 of you. Yeah. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I'm a hot mess.
yeah, and those are the type of people who call me businesses because having your own business, especially if you don't have enough people on staff, it could get very overwhelming. And so having the flexibility to not have to hire full-time staff or just to hire somebody just to get a project done,
Mhm.
that's what I do. So I come in anywhere from 2 hours to we can do a 20-hour a month contract or something. So I have several businesses that I work with um, here
So
in
do you have
Kentucky.
a website? How do people get in touch with you?
It's really been word of mouth because right now I'm not actually accepting clients, but hopefully in the next few months I'll be able to open up my schedule a little more.
That's what
Uh,
happens when you're in high demand, right?
yeah, so um, it's really kind of been word of mouth, and I'm actually proud to say that I most of the businesses that I help manage are Black owned businesses. So I'm able to kind of keep them afloat, and so the owners and managers aren't swimming in paperwork. So I kind of been able to pick up what they need with the state filing, Department of Revenue, book basic bookkeeping stuff, and all of that.
Nice.
So um, and so right before COVID, so about 2 years ago, I added another service to capital management, and that's Rainbow Getaways, travel by me, Kendra. So I'm also a certified travel agent. So I've been doing that almost 3 years now. And so um, with that, I book anywhere and everywhere, um, domestic, international, cruises, groups, honeymoons, anniversaries, whatever you name. The only thing that I really can't do right now is like Airbnbs, vacation rentals. I can do villas. So if you ever want to rent out a mansion, I can find one for you. But like, the single home Airbnbs, those types of things I'm not able to do. But anything else, I'm pretty much able to book. Um, Sometimes I charge a research fee depending on how large the group is. But my services are free and as of now. But um, yeah, so I've added travel to my business life, and
Okay,
my
but let me ask you really quick because I mean this is fascinating, right? So I didn't know any of this previous, everyone. So I'm getting this firsthand, and
mhm,
what's powerful in a lot of what you're saying is your transferable skills, right? Understanding what your knowledge, skills, and abilities are, and
mhm.
saying, "Hey, I have all this. I can do that." So what made you get into booking travel? Because it's
Yeah, I love to travel. Like even before, like I've been to Barbados. I think I was 19 or 20 was my first trip, and I went to Barbados with my grandma. And before that, I traveled within the states, but that was my first time out of the country, and I just fell in love with anything out of the US. Like I'm like, "Oh my god, this is out here. The water is actually turquoise." Like, there's people out here that, you know, speak different languages, and actually being able to see it and experience it for myself, the different types of food, the culture, everything is completely different. And that was my first experience, and I just completely fell in love with it. So I've been traveling since the age of 20, and My husband loves to travel, so when we got married, every year we were on a trip, and so something just told me like I could. I know what I'm talking about. I've experienced it. I could add this to my skills and experiences, and plus bonus, I get discounts and all that. So I was like, why not? I can work and get discounts and save money and do what I
Hey,
love, which is to travel. So
hey.
now I can offer that to my clients, the people I work with, and then also now to the public. So, um,
So how do you become a certified? Is it travel agent?
mhm.
How do you do that?
So there's several uh, companies out there that you can sign up with. So you have to complete some trainings. There's a membership. You have to pay like a small monthly membership that covers like all your training. There's constantly training being provided by the company. Um, but yeah, you just have to find a reputable company that's certified and complete the training, pay your membership, and just go with the flow. So there's people signing up every day to become travel agents. So
All right, y'all. Please keep in mind there are a lot of different things that you can do, and oftentimes when we, hear about business opportunities or entrepreneurship, people will just kind of say the same things over and over again. But being a certified travel agent, that's an awesome one, and a lot of us like to travel. So I really appreciate you sharing that story. Now you're getting ready to go into something about your husband. Do you remember what you were going to say there?
oh yeah, yeah. But one thing, what you were just saying, my young people that I used to work with always, like, well, how did you pick this job, or and I just tell people like, even a young lady had asked me some interview questions maybe last year or something, and she was asking about entrepreneurship and stuff, and I just said, you want to work somewhere doing something that you love. So if you love to do hair, get a business doing hair, become a cosmetologist. If you love to travel, become a travel agent. If you love to paint, be an artist. Like, just do what you love, and work out. It'll work out for you. So there's an industry pretty much for anything out there. So you just got to make it work for you. But it is difficult sometimes because what you love to do may not be the market um, that's available to you in your surroundings. So you kind of got to think out of the box of how you're going to get the word out there about your business. And so that's one thing. Um, like out here, some people, um, how can I put this nicely? You just got people out there who, they spend money on what they want to spend money on.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I had people come to me saying, hey, I want to go to Europe and my budget is $800.
Oh, so they got champagne taste with beer money, huh?
So what you do, a lot of people may not be in the market that you're working in, but somebody needs you, and
Hmm.
people are going to pay for what they need, and so you just gotta figure out what your audience is and kind of work within that. So, but my husband and I um, partner on a third business, which is called the Brothers Tree Service.
Okay.
So this business is licensed, bonded, and insured. We are licensed and contracted with Washington State for tree service. So we cut down trees. Not, I shouldn't say we, but the company cuts down trees. We do stump removals, stump grinding, limbing, uh, tree removals, topping trees, anything in regards to tree service, we do. So we're here in Kitsap County, and we're able to do work in King and Pierce County as well.
Ah, nice.
So we got three businesses going. We're a very busy family with a 3-year-old toddler, and my husband works full time at the shipyard as a crane
Woo!
as a crane operator. So our family, and my daughter's probably going to learn this, we are always moving. like we're on the go like all the time, which is why I said I was tired when we first started. Like we are true. I like to relax, but in reality, my relaxing means laying on the couch while working.
while working.
but um, but
So, if
we
you don't
like
mind, talk about that a little bit because one, I take it that you guys actually don't have to work that hard. So, what is your driving motivation? Why are you so busy?
financial freedom.
Okay.
And that's why I'm linked to From Slavery Initiative, which I'll talk about later. We are in this mindset of let's make this money so we can set our daughter up for when she graduates. She can go to any college she wants to go to, and she does not have to get any student loans. And God bless if she gets blessed with grants, she can have that money to purchase her first home or, you know, get her a down payment on a car, buy a car, whatever she needs. So we're all about working hard, saving money, investing money, and setting our daughter up so she doesn't have to struggle or have any experiences we did with money growing up. And so that's our motivation. You know, we know boundaries, so we know when when it's time to sit down or say no. We'll do that. Um, but we're about, you know, financial freedom, getting out of debt. We've been working on that for since we've been married, and all I got is this house to pay for. Everything else is paid off. So we're moving towards debt free. We're moving towards being debt free. Student loans almost done. Like, so it's like it's good and it feels good to be able to be in a position and be able to be in a position to bless people. You know, we've been in positions where people were in need financially, and we've been able to give to that need. And so God has really been blessing our family and um, giving us favor with everything that we've come in contact with, our business and flexibility with work and everything like that. So we're grateful, and you know, God is providing.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is going to be a kind of a personal question, so you can just say it's too personal. But I'm going to make a statement, then ask you the question.
Okay.
Today it's 2022, and the Black family structure has been fractured due to so many different things, and it's so hard for us to get along. And there's so many different ways that we're incentivized not to be together and work together. So, what is the promise that you've made to each other? Sometimes money can get in the way of marriages, but then the absence too. You're also very busy, right? He's working full time, you working three businesses, you guys are everywhere. So how do you keep the love and still stay connected? How do you deal with conflict that comes up? Because I think a lot of, not just our younger folks coming up and coming into relationships, but many middle-aged adults just didn't really have that modeling, and they struggle with relationships. So, well, what advice can you give as a successful married couple and multiple business owners on how to keep your marriage strong as you go forward? Is your goal of financial freedom?
hmm So yeah, so growing up, and I can speak for my husband. We're not. I mean, it's not really a secret. So we come from broken families. So both of our parents were divorced and remarried, and so and I remember when my husband actually proposed, he was like, I'm only doing this one time. So, you know, ain't no divorce or whatever. But and you know, growing up, I would say a PK, but I'm not really a preacher's kid, but I grew up where my stepfather was in ministry. And
Mhm.
so, you know, he was always going at the church, or we spent a lot of time at church. Um, and so my stepfather, he was really gone a lot. And some things, and we've talked about this, you know, some things when he, you know, should have been home for, he wasn't home for. And so, you know, I've actually had this conversation with my husband. It's like, you know, when I start to feel that, okay, Where's daddy? Daddy needs to come home. Then I need you to come home. And he understands that and he does just that. It's just a matter of speaking what's on your heart and not holding those types of things in. So when I need my husband home, I'm gonna call him and he coming home. It's gonna be like, okay, give me a few hours, but I'll be there. But we have come to that understanding of when I call, he's gonna jump. And I'm not gonna, interrupt what has already been planned. But when I tell him it's time for a break, he understands, okay, can't take this job because, or I need to push this job off because I need to be home. I think it's very important um, for that quality time. Um, when he's gone all day and he comes in the door and my daughter's like jumping with joy, like that warms my heart because that says, okay, she knows dad isn't here and now dad's home, and so I'm excited. So and he sees that too. So when we realize that um business is taking too much of our time, then we'll definitely back off, and family first always. And so, well, God first, then family. But
So
we
is
it's
that
just
something
a
that you
matter of
talked about
community.
before?
What was that?
Did you talk about that as you got together and as you got married, or is that something that you just kind of talked about as you grew in your marriage together?
Well, we didn't have to talk about it before until the businesses came along.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, so when the business came along is the same time when we had our daughter. So everything was happening at the same time. So I would probably say about a year in, we had to really sit down and say, okay, we got to set some boundaries about our time spent in these different places. And so all just comes down to communicating and um, making appropriate sacrifices, you know. And when I say appropriate, we don't always have to turn down. Like I'm not going to tell you to turn down a $15,000 job. However, can it be rescheduled for the following week?
You're right.
But
Don't
it's
get
just
the bag. Just let's
yeah. So it's just a matter of communicating, and people know I am very quiet and I like to be in the back. But when it comes to my child's well-being or my family, I'm going to say something. And so, even with him, so, and he understands that, and vice versa. If he's feeling some type of way, he'll say, hey, let's go grab some dinner. Or like we just took our daughter to Las Vegas. Like who takes a 3-year-old to Las Vegas? We do. And we spent the whole 3 days with her. We went to the museum, we went to the aquarium. We didn't do anything fun for us. It was all about our daughter, and having that time with her. And so, but another way we kind of rekindle or um, get back on track is traveling.
Mhm.
So, we were scheduled to go to Costa Rica, but because of COVID, um, we decided to change the trip because we didn't want to get stuck out there.
Right.
But we just went to Cozumel on a cruise. We got some other trips planned, but we make sure we set some time aside for each other. That quality time is very important.
So you said communication is kind of one of the biggest keys there. Um,
Mhm.
and active listening, it sounds like, kind of goes along with that, and caring about the other person, like what they feel and
Yeah,
what's going on with them. I appreciate that, and I think that can be very helpful for other folks that are watching this that are either struggling in their relationship or entering into one or taking a break from one, and just saying, hey, when I go into this situation again, I want to go into it in a different way, and I've got some modeling that I can look to on how to navigate that while we're doing all these different things together, but still come together and still be a family unit. So I definitely appreciate
yeah,
you for going into detail on
yeah. And each person just has to be open, because I will say, relationships that have been in my younger years, with those individuals, the conversation would probably be different. I would say how I feel just like I would say it to my husband, but maybe with someone else it wouldn't be received that same way. So, it's you got to work on yourself. You got to work on how you say things, um, your motives behind your words. Are you trying to hurt? Are you trying to win? So, talking with your spouse instead of at your spouse. Because I could really be like, no, you need to bring your tail home right now. Like, I ain't playing. Be here in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Or I could be like, hey, babe, I really need you home. I need to rest. What time can you be here? And you'll get, the response you need.
Wow. All right. So, you have a child, you start a business, capital management, then you have Rainbow Getaways, then there's Brothers Tree Service, and
Hmm.
then here comes Up From Slavery Initiative. So, where did this come from? Here's a fourth one.
Yeah, it's pretty much another job. So, and I actually got connected with Up From Slavery Initiative through one of my clients, Daryl Riley. So I do administrative work for his two businesses. Um, and so that's kind of how I got connected. Uh, he, around the time where the George Floyd um, murder occurred, um, you know, he reached out to some people to kind of see, you know, if we could gather a team together to come up with a support system for our community during that time, and then kind of a support system for our community in regards to racial justice, in regards to financial freedom, and in regards to health and wellness. And so he brought this idea to a couple people, and the one thing that stuck out to me when we were talking and then we started brainstorming was the financial literacy piece. Um, so, like, we've learned that, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, I'm a servant at heart, I love to help. And I believe every child should be set up for financial freedom.
Mhm.
Um, and so, um, he and I gathered a team together, and the name Up From Slavery um, is actually was inspired by Booker T. Washington's book Up From Slavery. Daryl kind of was thinking about, how can we get our people to change their mindset about financial freedom? How can we get our people, when I say our people, the Black and Brown community, to start thinking about setting themselves up and their families up for, financial wellness and be healthy financially and not have to carry so much debt, or bad debt, I should say. um, how do we get them to save money and stop spending on frivolous things? How do we get them to understand the power of investing in the right things? And so my heart was in the financial literacy component of our mission. And so we have two other pillars, we call them, and that's racial justice and health and wellness. And so the financial literacy piece really just jumped out to me because I'm all about, you know, now I ain't saying I'm rich, but I claim it in Jesus' name. But and I don't know everything about money. I'm still learning myself, but my heart is in it for children and youth and teens to grow up to learn about those things, because I didn't get it when I was in high school.
I mean, well,
Um,
I didn't go to high school, so I didn't get it either. Well, let me ask you a question and get a grade from you. So, when my daughter was probably, she's 10 now. So when she was 7, we would go to the arcade and, you'd play the video games and you would get the little tokens, the little tickets, and then they
mhm.
can go and buy the little gifts or the little prizes or whatever, like at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
I was trying to teach her a lesson in instant gratification and saving. And so it's like, we can't spend all of our tickets, baby. We got to save these tickets. And you see all these really wonderful big prizes that you're not going to earn in one, sit down. It's going to take many. And I
Mhm.
remember she was so upset and so hurt in the beginning. And we would go and are like, you can get like 2 pieces of candy and that's it. And so we started saving, and we started saving. About the 5th time, it's like, all right, we got 500 tickets. She's like, we got 500 tickets? I can get something on this. And so
Yeah.
now we're at almost 5,000 tickets, and she doesn't want to spend the points now. So she's just stacking them up. but it's important to teach that. So that's my first example. So what grade would you give for that?
What grade would I give you
Yeah.
for that teaching that lesson?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's an A plus. That's a good start. And that's exactly what we taught the kids this past summer. So this past summer we hosted a financial literacy camp at Catalyst Public School. And so the camp was 2 weeks. And we did, let's see, we did 6 to 8 days, I believe. And they were there for about 4 to 5 hours a day. And so they got about 4 hours of instruction. And we taught anywhere from credit cards, savings accounts, interest. We taught about saving, emergency savings. We taught about, the instant gratification. We played games that was teaching them about, should I buy or should I save? And every day they received a paycheck for showing up to camp. So showing up to work,
Oh,
they received a
yeah.
paycheck.
I
And
love
we wrote out their paycheck. And at the end of each week, or at the end of the first week, we offered this store to them. And the store had tons of stuff, just like the arcade. So they had all these prizes they could choose from. And we handed them their money, and they're like, oh my God, I have $800. And then they get to the store and they see all these things that they could buy. And then right before we said, okay, we can let you go shopping, but wait, if you wait till next week, you could double your money. So then we gave them that this made the decision, do I buy now or do I save? And then some students actually bought that day. And so they spent all their money. And then when we went back up to the classroom from the store, we taught them about interest.
Mm.
So those students who did not buy anything earned interest on their money that they deposited into the financial literacy bank. And so now they're super excited. They're like, oh my God, I just made $100 on my money. And so that kind of encouraged them to keep saving till the next week so they can have, they can shop and buy more things or buy that high price item that they wanted. So for kids, that is a great lesson on getting them to understand savings and interest, and working for what they want. And it's not going to get handed to them. So even we were handing out extra money throughout the weeks, but they had to work for it. They had to answer questions. They had to show us that they were learning. And so it was great. That was one huge project that I brought forth with the help of the marvelous Marva Jones. If you don't know who Marva Jones is, she is like the kid guru.
Mhm.
She's amazing with kids. And so she helped us out. Catalyst Public School. The mayor stopped by. Chief Tom Wolf stopped by. We had some volunteers come and do some teaching. It was just an awesome time. I think we started about 12 or 13 students. During COVID, we couldn't really have that many. And so all the students who graduated actually were given a $200 starter savings account with Kitsap Credit Union.
I heard about that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So we were able to provide them that, and the parents took them to the bank to open up their accounts, and they were just so excited about having $200 in their account. And so we're looking for um, banks to help us and partner with us in this effort for this year, because we're planning to have more students, and possibly even an older um, cohort to work with. Our goal is to do this every year, and every year those same students come back and just learn a different component of the program and earn more money to go into their savings account every year. And so we're looking for some banks to partner with us. So if you have any connections or if someone's watching, I'm putting that out there in the atmosphere.
All right
Join
now.
our effort in teaching these kids um, on financial literacy and helping them to financial freedom at this age, setting them up to start off on the right foot. And so
I think that's fantastic. I love that. I mean, I love all the legs of Up From Slavery Initiative, but that one is a big one. So I can see why that's a draw. So let
Yeah,
me
and
give you my
tell your
second.
daughter if she can register this year, make sure
Okay.
she attends.
Yeah, I definitely will. Oftentimes in the summertime, she's in Alabama, so she
Oh,
goes and visits mom's side of the family. That girl stays
okay.
on a plane. So
Yeah.
but so she turned 10 in October. And so, one of the things with Layla, I mean, she's 10, right? So she loves
Mhm.
McDonald's and, just all the things that kids love, Roblox, things like that. And so she's just constantly, okay, let's go here, let's go here. And it's like, well, sweetie, we can go there or we could buy McDonald's. She's like, what are you talking about? So then I started teaching her what interest was and compound interest. And I just used change,
Mhm.
pennies, nickels, and dimes and quarters because she can understand that. And then what I did was for her birthday, instead of toys and things like that, which is great for kids, I went and I got her own stock. And so this is her stock portfolio here. As you can see, that's what
Nice.
345 in her account right now. And so we just went through and just bought her favorite companies. So she has McDonald's and Disney and Netflix and
Yeah.
Roblox. She was telling one of my foster mothers on Sunday. She was like, I even have Moderna something, it's like, yeah, you got some Moderna stock too, because it's COVID. So it's like, well, let's
Yeah.
look at these things. So, she's already in the stock market and learning that, and she doesn't fully have a grasp of it, but she understands the saving of the money. And so her
Mhm.
portfolio has been growing. And I think that's one of the best things that we can give to our kids. So
Yeah.
what grade would you give me for that one?
Stocks. I'll probably still give you an A because we actually didn't teach that last year. We kind of wanted to wait for this year. So this year we'll have this lessons on stock. Just because it's a little harder to understand.
Mhm.
So I give your daughter an A plus for catching on at her age because it could be a little tricky to understand.
Oh, it's tricky. She doesn't have full grasp of it,
Yeah,
but she
yeah.
understands that you're saving money now to grow it
Hmm.
later, which is the big.
Yeah, yeah. But then when you lose the money, and you got to
There's
know
that
when
too.
to,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna teach them all about that this year. Um, but the financial literacy aspect of our organization is like where my heart is. I support, of course, the other pillars, racial justice, which we'll talk about the summit coming up.
Yep.
Um, and so in health and wellness. And so, and with the health and wellness, it's not just about being physically healthy, it's about being mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. Um, and so, and when you are when everything is connected, mind, body, soul, you're able to make, sound decisions and good decisions about. So it's all connected. And so um, I'm glad to be a part of the organizations myself and four other board members, and we have a staff member that supports the organization's needs. So we're
So in health
growing.
and wellness is like mental health, talking with the counselor, something that you USFI advocates for.
Yes, and so our mental, or excuse me, our health and wellness component is kind of a work in progress. And I'll put this out in the atmosphere too. We are looking for someone to kind of help us in that area in regards to programs and education and training that we can provide. And we started out doing the physical aspect because that was the kind of the easiest to kind of step into. So we were providing free Zumba and yoga classes during COVID, doing that virtually. And so we kind of started with that. And so now this year we're going to try to focus more on the mental health aspect. And so, we're looking for um, preferably people of color that work in the mental health field, but anybody who, has experience in serving people with mental illness or people who are struggling with certain things in life. So, therapists or psychologists, anyone in the medical field that would like to help and volunteer. We just want to be able to provide uh, training to our community. And so that's what UFSI does. We're all about education
I
and
love that. I love that.
providing education in those three aspects: racial justice, financial literacy, and health and wellness to our community.
Let me just add there too is, one in the black community for sure, mental health seeking, going to counseling has been stigmatized in our community for so long. And we've come a long way with saying, hey, there's no stigma in that. You should go and talk to a professional, and that's very healthy. But even if there isn't mental health, a lot of us in our experiences through racism, institutional racism, there are the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, what I have on the screen there. And if you don't know what that is, you can Google that. But many of us have had these adverse childhood experiences in our life, and we don't get to work through and process through them as children, and then they manifest themselves in our adulthood, right? And then unfortunately, we may pass those on to our kids because we don't know. So, again, I love all three legs of you Up From Slavery Initiative, but this one is another huge one, with more than just your physical health, but also your mental well being also. So I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. And with ACEs, like I will never forget, I think I was about 15 years old. And I, and this was my first direct experience with racism. I was 15. I was like, no kid should ever have to hear these things. Um, but I'll never forget it. I'm 36 and I still remember the day. A friend and my friend and I went to a movie, and we walked there from my house. It was like a summertime. Went to the movie, and we paid for our tickets. We paid for the soda, the popcorn, and we went and sat down in the back of the theater and started to watch the movie. And not even, it was still previews. The manager of the movie theater comes and taps us on the shoulder, and he was like, "You got get up, get up, get up, come outside." And so we're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" We're 15, two girls by ourselves. Um, and we went out there, and we had our stuff, and he like yanked the salt shaker out of my friend's arm. So literally a popcorn salt shaker. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And then he was like, "You people are always stealing stuff."
Wow.
And we're like, and that was the first thing he said to us, like yelling at us, like, and he said, "You people are always stealing stuff." And my friend said, "Who is you people?" Like she's a little older than me. She's like, "Who is you people?" Attitude and all. He was
Uh-huh.
like, "You know what I mean? Get out of get out of my movie theater or whatever."
Wow.
And so um I will never forget it, because now every time I hear the words "you people," it takes me back to that place, because that's where I learned what "you people" meant.
Mhm.
And it was over a salt shaker, something so small. He could have just been like, "Hey, you can't take a salt shaker in with you in the theater. Can you put it back at the counter?" But it wasn't. We weren't even approached that way. I mean,
Right.
two female young kids, females at that, and the aggression that came across, from this old white male. It was scary. It was like, "Oh, can we at least have our money back?" And they were like, "No, get out."
Oh, wow.
So we were robbed
Mhm.
over a salt shaker and accused of stealing a salt shaker. Like, this is ridiculous. But it's crazy because all these years later, anytime I hear the word "you people," my brain, it takes me back to that day. And
Mhm.
it's so sad that kids, we've made some improvements over the years. Me working in education, you know, um, I'm saying racism is still out there. It's just sometimes it's not. It's hidden racism, uh,
Well,
and especially in education.
mhm.
A lot of these teachers, I love teachers, education. We need them, but some of them just need to go ahead and retire and just relax at home, because these kids stressing you out and they're taking you to a whole different level, and it's bringing out something in you that has always been there that needs to be addressed.
Mhm.
But yeah, um, that mental health and the adverse childhood experiences and all that plays a role in, your mental health plays, like I said earlier, plays a role of in being healthy, like the whole mind, body, and soul. So your mind has to be right for your heart to work right, you know.
Right,
So
right. And that kind of goes into the last leg, right? So this is the racial justice piece of Up From Slavery Initiative. So talk a little bit about that. And if you could, as we go into kind of speaking about this huge event that's coming up, why those three?
those three pillars.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. When the team met, it was just a general consensus that these are the three things that are missing from the community, from our upbringing and growing up. You know, you don't hear your parents, or at least I didn't hear my parents talk too much about money. You know, we saw, the struggle of it, but we didn't see the this is what you need to do to not get back to this place, or this is why we're on food stamps, or the conversations weren't ever had during the struggle. We just saw the struggle. So, and then we weren't taught growing up, at least you know myself, but I think that the schools are doing a little bit better now with financial literacy education. I think they're doing a lot more life skills teaching than they were when I was growing up. But the millennials now are hurting. They're swimming in debt, and and they're having children. And unfortunately, if they're not in a stable relationship or in a stable environment, their children are now learning bad habits about how to spend money. And our culture too, we like to spend what we didn't have growing up. So
Hmm.
once we do get a quick $500, we buying the next
Come on.
Jordans instead of putting them in our kids savings account, because we didn't have that growing up. So the mindset has to shift, and they have to want to change their way of thinking when it comes to money. Same thing when it comes to health and wellness. Um, do they want to live long? Everybody wants to live a long life. So in order to do that, the doctor tell you got to lose 15 pounds. What's more important? That McDonald's? And I'm guilty. I've been trying to lose 15 pounds for the last 6 months. And my pizza, Chipotle, not Chipotle, Qdoba,
Uh-huh.
those them three, they always get me. But when you get a diagnosis of diabetes, or
Yeah.
high blood pressure, but you're still having these habits, these addictions that are going to keep you in that illness or disease, you have to change your mindset. And I think it's hard for our culture to do that, because um you know some of us are really don't like change. It's hard for us to change, it's hard for us to make changes. um
Yeah, we'll fight you. You know, what you mean I can't have it fried? I gotta bake it.
yeah, we don't want to be uncomfortable.
Uh,
We want it how we want it, and there's no discussion about it. And
mhm.
so we really just have to kind of change our way of thinking about everything, and living our life for the next 10, 20 years, so we can see that next 10, 20 years. um and so um that health and wellness piece. And then even with the health and wellness, we were taught growing up, family business is family business. Don't go tell nobody what's going on in our house. But daddy's going upside mama's head, and Uncle Tom is coming in baby cousin's bedroom, and that all these curses, generational curses, they got to be broken. And so these conversations need to happen. People need to release. People need to um, change their mindset. And we are here specifically to help people of color, our families, our community. We do not discriminate against any other culture. If anyone is seeking assistance with financial literacy, wellness, or education in regards to race and equity, we're going to serve and provide. But there's nothing wrong with serving just the Black and Brown community, because we have to support our people,
Right,
because who else is going to do it?
right, right.
So, um, so those three really kind of really stuck out to the team. And that's kind of just what we decided on focusing on, is providing that education and that support and resources, and just empowering our brothers and sisters to be the best that they can be in whatever areas that they are in life. So yeah.
So with that, there's this huge event that's coming up. Let me give you a horn right off the bat. It's Friday, the Race and Equity Summit
Woo!
2022. What is this thing? Why? How did this all
Yes.
go into it?
So this came about when, like I mentioned, when the George Floyd murder occurred. Um, the talk about race, and injustice kind of trickled away. It's like, oh, this big uprising and protest and anger and people feeling a certain type of way, and then you start to see the decline, people going back to their normal lives, and the conversation fizzles out and no one's really talking about it anymore. One, because you know how some black people are, black and brown people. Oh, ain't nothing gonna happen, I ain't even worried about that. So they put it to the back burner because they don't trust that nothing's gonna move, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna change, so they just don't put no energy to it. And then you have people who are scared to talk about it. And so we wanted to bring this to the community so everyone can feel confident and empowered to talk about race or racism, and equity and equality in the areas that they serve, that they lead, that they work, the communities that they live in. And so this summit is to provide education, information, and empowerment to anyone who attends, whether you're white, whether you're a supervisor, in management and HR management, whether you're the mayor, whether you're just a community member, a student, high school student. We have high school students attending. We have just a variety of people attending. And these individuals, we're hoping they're going to leave there feeling more confident about having conversations around race and equity, in their places of employment or at school or with their children and so forth. And so we just want to start the conversation. Um, Friday is going to be specifically about equity, in the workplace, in healthcare, and in education, youth and education. We have some amazing speakers who are experts in these areas, all Black females. So I'm really excited about that. Um, and so, and we'll also, so those are the workshops that are occurring. The registration is $50. Registration is still open. You can also register at the door. Um, Masks are optional. We'll be at the Marvin Williams Center on Friday, 725 Park Avenue in Bremerton. Doors will open at 9 o'clock and we'll be done about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And so we just encourage everyone to come out and get the knowledge. Um, People are going to walk in there not knowing what equity means, and then they're going to walk out feeling confident about equity and race, and um, talking about racism in the workplace, and disparities in healthcare, understanding, um, professionals understanding the sensitivity around the topic, being conscious and aware, when they have patients of color in their clinics, um, just not treating us like a number, like actually listening to us and treating us like a human being, and giving us the time and respect and care that everyone else will receive. Um, and so, and in that, when the healthcare system changed, the health and wellness aspect will change too. People who typically don't go to the doctor because they don't trust doctors, when they start to understand that these health professionals are changing their way of service and the way they think about people of color, they're going to be more we're going to be more comfortable going to get care from a doctor instead of holding on to these symptoms and then dying in our sleep, in which we could have been helped if we would have just went, but we don't trust the healthcare system to take care of us. And so we just want to eliminate a lot of these barriers that our community is having, and just providing that education. We're just hoping the people that attend take it out to their communities, take it out to their workplaces, and share. And more to come. Hopefully, we can do this every year. We'll also have a panel discussion with some of our city leaders, our school board directors, um, uh, judges. Yeah, so we'll have some time for panel be led by Lucretia Robertson, who is phenomenal in what she does. And so we have a lot of resources that we'll be handing out. The lunch is catered by a Black-owned business. Shout out to Blush Blue Catering, Catherine Lanners. So we're just excited. That's just Friday. Saturday, we're going to come back to the high school instead of the Marvel Center. We're going to meet at the high school. Doors will open at 9. And that's where we're going to kick off our policing panel and discussion with Carmen Best, which is former Seattle police chief, and then end it with our keynote speaker, Dr. Joy DeGrew. Sorry if I messed up her name. But it's just going to be an awesome time. Um, we just want people to come with an open mind, hearts open. This is not a time to where we're pointing fingers at anybody. I said this in the press release. Like, this is not the time to blame anyone. We're not pointing fingers. We do want people to be held accountable for the positions that they hold.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are coming with grace. We are coming to move change, to move it forward, to help everyone around move it forward. And so, we got to do it as a community. I can't do it by myself. Daryl can't do it by himself. The mayor can't do it by himself. Judges, prosecutors, people who run these institutions, education, no one can do it by themselves. We have to have a continuous conversation. Like I said, this won't be the first time. And it's a work in progress. It's never going to be complete. Everyone's not going to be satisfied, but it's a start to just have the conversation. So we're looking forward to this weekend. You can register online at ufsi.org, and all the information is there. Click on 2022 Summit, and hope to see you this weekend. You don't want to miss it. Great
So
education.
let me say how important this is. Working in this community for as long as I have, many of my fellow, Black brothers don't go to the doctor, right? For so many different reasons. And it was just like what you say, right? You go, you don't get the help that you need. And so we kind of end up cutting our nose to spite our face. And it's like, well, they ain't gonna help me anyway. They don't want to give me the medicine or tell me what's really going on. Sometimes we feel like, well, if we don't get a diagnosis, it'll just go away on its own, which it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. Our symptoms might kind of go away, or we're so busy we don't feel or experience it as prominent as it is at that time, but it's still there and it needs to be dealt with. And so, in my own experience, what I had to learn was I was getting really bad treatment at the hospital and at the doctor's office. And so, but at the same time, my father would always say in my mind, "Go where you're not wanted," because that's where the best services are. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what I ended up doing is putting on a tie every time I went to the doctor, and because of their biases, they didn't see a person who didn't feel good. Why should I put on a tie when I don't feel well? I should be able to come in with a pair of sweats or, however I'm looking. I feel bad, but I've got to get dressed up. So I am trying to fight through what they see, in
Mm-hmm.
order to get, treatment from an equitable standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Just pull me up a little bit and look at me as a human being
Yeah.
at work. When I was able to, get more of the services that I need, people were able to treat me more kindly. There's documented studies that, they felt like our skin was thicker and we didn't experience pain like everyone else. And, just all these different things. And when you understand that, it's like, no, I shouldn't have to play the game, but it's the game, and you got to do what you got to do because your kids need you. You need to be around, right? You're trying to leave a legacy, and you're trying to survive, and you want your life to
Yeah.
be as healthy as possible, right? You don't want to just be existing. So I recognize if I put on a tie and if I looked a certain way, that it would increase my likelihood of actually getting the treatment that I needed. And that's unfortunate. So the doctors need to understand that. The nurses need to understand that. We ourselves need to understand that, right? What it is, and then not turn away from where the help and where the services are. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to this experience here coming up. Again, as Kendra was saying, on Friday, March 25th, this Friday, just a few days, Marble
Hmm.
Flame Center, $50 registration. You do need to register on Saturday. It's at the Bremerton High School. Doors will open at 9, as she was saying. The event will start at 10. The registration is free, but you do need to register for either or both events. So whatever
Right.
day you're going on. And again, the Race and Equity Summit, for those that are just listening on Anchor or Spotify or any of the other platforms, Amazon Music, https://m.bpt.me/event/5358435. You can go to the Up From Slavery website, www.ufsi.org, and register there. And you should definitely check it out anyway, because there's a lot of good information on there when they're holding their classes and whatnot. All of that information will be there for you. Again, Carmen Best, former Seattle police chief, definitely went through a lot during COVID and the chop of downtown Seattle. So listening to her stories is going to be fascinating. And then the very famous Dr. Joy DeGruy, author of Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, will be the keynote speaker. So this is something that you don't want to miss. This is the first of many Race
Yeah.
of Equity Summit. Let me give you a horn. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate the time that you were able to give. I know that you're tremendously busy trying to get this thing going. I want to give you the final word.
Final word. Well, about the summit, don't come with no foolishness. Listen to me. Don't come with no foolishness. I know y'all won't. We gonna do good. Our people, we gonna do good. But I just hope everyone enjoys this weekend and just comes with um listening ears and a heart to receive. And we pray we don't, everyone's not about this mission. Everyone doesn't agree, doesn't think there's people think there, racism doesn't exist. And people think, oh, they still talking about slavery all these years later. Don't come with the negativity, and I'm hoping, we don't have any foolishness going on. But this is going to be a great event, and I encourage everyone to attend. Bring your families, encourage your supervisors, management to come out this weekend. If you want to be involved in the mission with Up From Slavery Initiative, you can check out our website to learn about our goals, our vision. You can contact us via email if you have any questions and want to volunteer. We're looking for speakers and presenters on our various topics that we'll start presenting and doing some trainings for this year. Also, our financial literacy camp is coming up, so parents, stay tuned. You'll want your children to attend that. And if you ever see me out there in the community, or you see me posting on Instagram or Facebook, my husband and I are here to help you if you have any interest in any of our businesses. And I just thank you, Marwan, for having me tonight. I was reluctant about coming on because I don't like to hear myself talk, but this was a great time. And I will see you all Friday.
I told you were in good hands. You were wondering if we were going to get past 30 minutes. We're at an hour and 8 minutes
I know. And
already.
I'm like, oh my God, it's already past an hour. But yeah,
Did it go fast?
it did. It
All
did.
right, all right. All right, everyone. That is Kendra Galloway. She is the owner of Capital Management, also Rainbow Getaways, book travel accommodations, and Brothers Tree Service, licensed and bonded here in Kitsap County, Pierce, and King County. Is that true?
Yep.
All right. And then, of course, Up From Slavery Initiative, where she is board treasurer. Again, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your time. I will see you on Friday. For
Okay.
everyone else, I will see you tomorrow. I have 4 shows tomorrow. I've got a show that already started an hour and a half ago, so I'm gonna switch over and jump into that show. For Kendra from Up From Slavery Initiative, I am R1 Cameron. This is The Conduit. We will see you